Hello, welcome to my new sketchbook tour, travel sketchbook series video, and this one will be about Paris. And I spent 2 months in Paris in 2018, and I had such a cultural shock, and I enjoyed people on the streets the most, because in other places that I stayed more than a few days, I could enjoy something else, like more like architecture, like in Berlin. So this is a piece of Paris in my sketchbook. Oh, this was my most ambitious list, where to go in 2 months and never miss something that was really worthy. Okay, let's tackle and see my worst and see my best. So yeah, I was based in art residency near Notre Dame and Rue de Rivoli and Bastille. So around there were just so many typical French places where people meet and do some Sunday activities, like this granny. I mean, this granny was like 80 and she was doing some acrobatic moves on roller skates. Wow, this guy was so skinny. That was probably what I realized. It was his best feature. I don't know why I did this with this kind of pen. I don't really like using it. I was probably so much under impression and I didn't want to forget, and I grabbed something that I had first nearest to my hand. Okay, so some of them are just sketched during sitting there, and then I finished them with these rubber brush tip. That's this kind of tools after it, and probably doing a little bit more with ink or with pencil again if I lose it when I'm coloring. So this was a wonderful, gentle looking, how to say, oh man, I cannot believe I'm making this big pauses. I don't really. She was from the convent. Yeah. Okay. Wow, this woman had the most crazy witchy hair and face, and she had some crazy fluffy ties, and she was going to buy groceries and going back home. But there's so many interesting people over there. There's such a diversity and mixture, and it's wonderful. Okay, I think this is more typical for Paris, to see someone small like this and with a big head and with crazy hair. This is typical, let's say, old French person with lots of bags and always in heels. I think French girls are meant to be in heels for all their lives. Yeah, this guy was very colorful. I couldn't believe how many colors he had. I think this is not even all how many colors he had on him. It was so alternative and crazy, and he looked like he doesn't really care what he puts on his back. Oh, I was sometimes I just do the notes to remember the colors, because I want to move on to the next sketch. Yeah, this is the most broad face I've ever seen, and it looks like a mask here because I didn't do it well. She was walking her dog. It's a very old granny, and she was very nicely dressed, very cool. But her face, I mean, and of course lots of people who are looking like this with colorful hair. Yeah, I really try to remember that when I have time and get to the studio. Wow, this girl was so young, and I was amazed how narrow her shoulders were and how big she was in this area, the hips, the waist, the thighs. I was amazed, like she was 13, and I said, wow, this is genetics, you cannot beat it. I mean, there is no diet for this. She had like very broad hips, and I like the pencil, so I kept it uncolored. I think this is a tourist. She didn't look like local, I think. Yeah, she had an interesting portrait. I don't know if I did this justice. Yeah, some of them I tried to ink, but I think there was just losing a lot of movement when I did that, so I try to avoid that, or just do it lightly with color or something. Okay, wow, this grandfather, wow, he was such a anatomy, such an interesting, and he was usually when you meet old guy, you just see the old dog, but no, this guy had a brand new puppy. Super sweet, super sweet. I love this guy. This was a baby going to kindergarten with their the parents, but I somehow tried to make that beautiful African American face, or I don't know, let's say African, let's say not African American, I'm not sure. Yeah, guys were often wearing something like this in Paris. This is like local dress code, very comfy yet a little bit out of line. Also local guy, I believe. Very nice face, and to me he looked like some kind of Brazilian mixture, because his tan was indicating in the ears and wonderful face. He was looking interesting. Oh, someone said, I think I made this hair red, but she was dark hair person. I don't know why I did it. Okay, wow, this is entire scene. The grandfather is taking his grandchild from kindergarten, I think from school, because he was like 7, I think, and some guy from behind just mocking them. I don't know why. And this guy was literally like tall, like Asterix. I mean, I saw Asterix genetics and Obelix genetics in Paris, and I was like, this is not a cartoon, this is reality. I was amazed by seeing all that. Okay, so I also liked my my pencil work here, so I didn't want to color it. Oh, okay. This is a wonderful, creative looking French lady who was so cheerful with passengers who wanted to sell something. People standing there, and she was passing by them, and she was just politely rejecting everything they offered, like a concert in a church. It was a Vivaldi concert, I think. Oh wow, yeah, this girl was so like full of circles and just the small tiny legs at the bottom. I just had to do it. I think I had her in my mind for a week, and then I drew it. Something is, yeah, homeless guy, but with a very, very nice soul. He was kind of a lost looking, I think, but he was such a pretty guy and exhausted from hunger. And I will not lie to you, there are many people like this in Paris. They're kind of taken care of, and during the night I saw some vans bringing food and warm drinks and blankets for the night. But okay, this girl is lovely. She was so funny and cheery and hanging with her friends. Girlfriends night. Okay, another typical styling for French girl. So striped t-shirt, bandana, and bun. Of course, some very nice glasses. Very nice, either for either the sunglasses or with dioptry. Doesn't matter. They have wonderful glass design, and yeah, typical like classic bag, leather. And then crazy socks, and then wonderful shoes. I think that's also this was popular. Like, I mean, French girls are so having such a wonderful taste, and they can combine something unusual, but on them it looks wonderful and like it's natural for them. I think this is a tourist girl. She had super crazy, like Hong Kong or something. The fashion on her was so like she looked like a comic book with a skirt and sneakers. Okay, this is my favorite sketch in the sketchbook. I just love this girl. She was owning it. She was surrounded by 10 men, and they were she's genuinely ugly. I mean, totally ugly, but she was so confident, so self-confident about that she was handsome, and men were like totally after her, and she was sitting alone with 10 men, and they were arguing about who's gonna go out with her. I couldn't believe. I mean, she was also a smoker, and nothing was great on her. She had a red hair, green eyes, and I was amazed. I mean, it's all about us, how we see ourselves. I think that's what puts impression on other people. A tourist with a nice corsetti blouse, and another typical French young guy. French people love to sit outside even when it's 5 degrees outside and it's freezing, because they just love being outside, and despite their probably just by computer, they're really trying to defend themselves and trying to push hard to be outside as much as possible. So it was pretty cold, but this guy was waiting for someone and then sitting for 2 hours in a bistro, in a buffet with their friends. And they also bring blankets outside for your legs if you want. I think each typical Parisian buffet has that. Okay, this guy was doing lessons of with how to hold a sword, and it was in Luxembourg Palace Park. This was all from Luxembourg, from Latin Quarter, and that's near Saint-Germain, Rue de Saint-Germain. This is a nice couple. It was Sunday, people were resting, doing their... Wow, this was interesting couple. Maybe typical looking to be advertising for Adidas. They were totally in Adidas. They were looking so cool. And I like that I finished this with blue, not with ink, because it just kept the dynamics and the gesture. And wow, this guy was handsome. He had some weird face, but he was walking weirdly as well. But when you see his legs and shoulders, wow, he was very handsome, and like 2 meters, at least 200 centimeters height. And then we had a concert, like free concert with black music. Oh, sorry, with the black music and wonderful French composition, with a full orchestra, and I think they were like firemen orchestra, I think. And this guy looked very interesting, and he was probably the one that was moving least, and so I did it and I left it like this, freely, just sketched. And this is a guy with a tube. I used to go to musical, I had musical background, like education for like, I don't know, 6-7 years, playing flute and opera singing. But it is always, I've seen it a lot, but it's so challenging to draw someone playing an instrument, because instruments are usually very complicated and dynamic, because they're trying to, you know, people made those instruments to suit them, to use them and play them. And this was wonderful experience, doing something harder than just a face. Okay, then this girl. This one was so simple, having her pink hair and her piercing, and wonderful, interesting style, and of course wonderful shoes. This is a French girl for sure. She wasn't beautiful, but she was radiating some sort of beauty and peace. Oh wow, this is too cartoony. I wouldn't stand by this. Yeah. No, this was something wrong. Okay, then I started doing more detailed sketches for some people who, yeah, it was rare for people to stand this long, so I did this portrait probably. Yeah, then I added the body. Yeah, this is more cartoony, but the portrait is based on a person that was standing a longer time next to me. Yeah, this is the guy who was inviting on concert in front of a church. Yeah, he was so nice and very, very attaching. He was so persistent about you listening to Vivaldi today. Not bad at all. Yeah, another typically looking Parisian guy, big nose, the hair, and those. When you see tourists, they're not prepared for rain, but in Paris there's so much of intensive and short rains during the day, especially in spring. I think that people are just, who are locals, always ready with their coats and you know, something like umbrellas. Wow, this guy was so good looking, so manly old man, and he was sitting with his dog and talking to a friend next to him, but I didn't have place for him as well. It was, this guy's look seemed like a very good guy. And I think this is the last one. Yeah, so this, I was impressed again by someone that is so short. So she was an adult, like 25 years old at least. I could see by wrinkles and hands and everything. And she had a very long hair like this, braided in a braid, and the scooter that is like regular size, like for kids. This was her height in front of the scooter. I mean, she was so short, and she looked so nice with the skirt, and she was on heels, rushing across the bridge. I just remember her for days, and then I drew her. Yeah, wonderful. Paris is wonderful, and this is a sketchbook we had as a gift when we were buying our supplies, and my wonderful Vita was telling me to take this and use, and it was so practical to use. I wish there's some sort of sketchbook like this with this kind of paper to buy in Belgrade, but they're not. Okay, another free sketchbook to use. And yeah, this is another one from Paris. I'm already tired talking, man. Yeah, this is near the oh man, near, I think it's on Concorde. People in some sort of areas, they're more like fashion districts where fashion people are working. You can see so much luxury there and so much very cool styling. I mean, I couldn't really give to this that much value. He was looking so cool and expensive and unique, and his shirt was wonderful, and he had a makeup which didn't look ugly. I couldn't get it, but it was nice trying. This girl really owned her own style. Everything was in XXXX, and then she looked like a mermaid on top. She was very openly attractive, and I think sexual. Okay, this girl was beautiful and interesting and very tall, and obviously kind of easy to draw because her outfit was easy. And yeah, then I relaxed. I just saw, and I was understanding a little bit more French. I don't know how. And then I realized, like trying to spot some social situations, something that is happening between people who are walking, what they're talking about. And I tried to, so this is kind of a gossiping scene where they're laughing to someone that is a third party over there. And this one is like evil and the smart one, and this one is naive and she's like totally into her, but nah, she's not a bad one. So I was trying to do that as well. Like, oh wow, this is big nose. Ah, pages falling off. This was a crazy grandma on a bicycle that was lounging around Concord every time I was there. And she was yelling to everybody, but I didn't understand what she was talking about. She looked wonderful, but you could see that there's something mentally wrong with her. And this was a woman who was waiting and waiting and waiting. So I put some more details on her. I did this portrait that I'm very satisfied with. I just really, I think, got into this. And I didn't want to touch it, I didn't want to finish it to ruin the impression of her. Oh, the one with the long legs. Yeah. Wow, this girl was like 69. She was full of flowers. And I think she had crazy jewelry as well, but I didn't remember it and I didn't want to add it. Yeah, another girl with a big nose. And crazy sandals. Wow, this guy was walking so weirdly. I don't know how. He was like, his head was so much on the back and his footsteps were so much more into the front, and you could see a regular person doing it. Granny with a dog, resting from dog walking and going home shortly after. I think I didn't have time to finish it completely while I was looking at her. Oh, very nice. Very nicely stylized person. Okay, then another one with the scooter. There are a lot of scooters in Paris and all the alternative transportation tools, gadgets. Yeah, this one is very cool, I think. What do you think? Wow, I love this couple. He is so in love with her, and she was thinking about totally something else, and he was talking to her, but she did not remember a word. And I love for local French girls, Parisian girls, they had some very retro vintage tattoos on super uncomfortable, painful places. They were totally into having a tattoo. Another couple, very proud of themselves and very much enjoying the afternoon. This was in front of the supermarket. I don't think it's in Luxembourg. Okay, another very, very interesting girl. Obviously with attitude and more into street fashion. And yeah, those panties were, I don't know, haven't seen them anywhere else. This guy was walking his dog. Wow, and this guy, I just thought of him as a fairy, because he was buying something like a magical stick from $1 few dollar store, and he had all the colors in like braids in his hair. It was so messy, but he looked interesting. He looked very much satisfied with how he looks. Not a girl, cool dressed, tattoos, and two best friends, obviously fat and skinny one, together forever, in bad and good. And then I think for the end, yeah, for the end I tried to draw stylized my friend Vita, who was in residency with me, and she gave me the idea to be a resident at all. Let's see what else. Oh, I saw some other cool outfits, but it wasn't the real person. I just did the outfit. This is some gadget I saw in Sri Lanka, but I was trying from memory. It was something like totally amazing but creepy looking, because it was from other parts put in parts from other vehicles put into one, and it was three wheels. Okay, sorry for this edition from Sri Lanka. This was long Paris sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you yourself are active and working on your sketchbook and your drawing from life skills, because that's always it's good to go back to fundamentals always and to change the subject and go out and do something spontaneous. So thumbs up for each and every one of you who went through entire video and who saw my Parisian people. And yeah, see you in the next video. And I really enjoyed this, although it always takes too long for me to go through this stuff. Thank you so much. Bye bye.